to the Hot Least Canvas channel, where the Hot Least display their God-given gift, ability, and talent. I am your host, OB, and I'm asking you, please like, share, and subscribe to the Hot Least Canvas channel, and also leave a comment. Leave a comment on the Hot Least Canvas channel, where the Hot Least display their God-given gift, ability, and talent. So let's jump right into it and talk about the details. We are going to talk about the English Premier League. As you know, the English Premier League season started Friday. Yeah, it started Friday, and we have a lone game play on Friday. The lone game that played on Friday is Arsenal played against Coventry, and Arsenal, they beat Coventry 3-0. Arsenal, they beat Coventry 3-0. And let me tell you, that game, Arsenal dominated that game. Arsenal played in such a way, the passes were crisp, the tackle were neat. And let me tell you, Arsenal, they look really, really fresh in this game, even though they are playing Coventry, who is newly promoted to the English Premier League. Coventry, they haven't played in the English Premier League for some 20-something years, and they are back in the top flight of the English Premier League. And let me tell you, Arsenal, they humbled Coventry by 3-0. And when he asked Frank Lampard, the head coach for Coventry, he said, he did not feel some kind of way, but he just learned the positive, take the positive out of this game, because Arsenal, they are the defending champion of the EPL. So he just take the positive out of this game, and he said, let's quickly move on to the next. So he will not let this game get to his player. He just gonna said, listen, take this game as a stepping stone and move forward. Yes, move forward and go to play better in the next game coming up. All right. The game that played Saturday is Manchester United versus Hull. And this game played at the home ground of Hull. And if you told me that Manchester would have lost this game, I would have told you no. Reason why I would have told you no is because the way our Manchester United finished the season last season, I think that they finished the season with a hype. They finished the season strong, and they finished the season with Champions League on their mind. So, Hull, newly promoted to the Premier League, I would think that Manchester United would have beaten Hull, but it's the other way around. Hull, they beat Manchester United 2-0. Yes, they beat Manchester United 2-0, and that surprises me. That surprises me because I thought that Manchester United would have won this game based on how they finished last season. They finished last season with a high. They finished last season hype. They finished last season strong. And I thought that they would have beat Hull, who newly promoted to the Premier League. I thought they would have beaten Hull because Hull is a newcomer and Manchester United is a seasoned Premier League team. But football is a game of unpredictable, and Hull, they beat Manchester United 2-0. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next game that played yesterday. Ipswich Town, they beat Sunderland 2-1, and Ipswich Town is newly promoted to the EPL, the English Premier League. Ipswich Town is newly promoted. They were in the Premier League last season, and they get relegated, and they came straight back up. They came straight back to the EPL. So Sunderland On the other hand, they promoted, they got promoted last season. So this is their second year after being promoted. So they were like, fairly newly team that promoted. Ipswich promoted, Sunderland promoted last season. But Ipswich Town, they beat Sunderland 2 goals to 1. And this game could have gone either way. This game was on a knife edge because soon as Sunderland they raid Ipswich Town raid Sunderland, and the game was going back and forth until time added. Ipswich Town found this goal to separate themselves from Sunderland. So Ipswich Town 2, Sunderland 1. Let's move on to the next. Next game that we have is Nottingham Forest versus Leeds. And Leeds, they came away with the victory. Leeds 1, Nottingham Forest 0. And these two teams, they were fighting last season to avoid relegation. And they meet today. No, sorry, they meet yesterday so early in the season. They meet so early in the season. And my opinion, I think these two teams, they're going to fight for relegation this season. I think these two teams, they're going to fight to stay out of relegation this season. Even though Leeds won this game 1-0, I think they're both going to face relegation this season. Yes, I think so. This is my opinion though. Don't hold me on this. But I think these two teams going to face relegation battle this season. All right, let's move on to the next game. The next game is Everton versus Crystal Palace. Everton versus Crystal Palace. And as you know, Everton, they won this game 2 goals to 0. Crystal Palace have themselves to blame. Crystal Palace have themselves to blame. They squandered too many chances. Mateta, he squandered chances. Nketiah squandered chances. They squandered too much chances. Even though Everton squandered a couple of chances, but they make their chances count. They make their chances count. And Everton 2, Crystal Palace 0. Everton 2, Crystal Palace 0. All right, let's move on to the next game. The next game is Brentford versus Spurs. And Spurs is one of the teams that also was facing relegation last season, but they managed to stay up in the EPL. They managed to stay up in the English Premier League. And I thought that based on the transfer market and the business Spurs did in the transfer market, I thought they would have came out and win this game. I thought they would have came out and win this game. But Brentford, they have other plans. Brentford, they came out fighting. Brentford, they came out and they thumped Tottenham by 3 goals to 0. They thumped Tottenham 3 goals to 0. So, Brentford, they walk away with all 3 points. Yeah, they walk away with all 3 points. And let's move on to the games that played today. The game that played today is Manchester City played Bournemouth. Manchester City played Bournemouth, and Manchester City, they came out 2-1 winners over Bournemouth. Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 1. Yes, Manchester City 2, Bournemouth 1. And the next game that we have is Brighton versus Aston Villa. Brighton, they thump Aston Villa 4 goals to 0. Yes, they trash Aston Villa 4 goals to 0. Though Aston Villa, they played with 10 men. Yes, they played with 10 men. They got their man sent off. So, Brighton, they took advantage and they beat Aston Villa 4 goals to 0. Yes, let's move on to the next game. The next game that we have, I think this game is one of the best games of the season so far. I think this game is one of the best games of the season so far. Newcastle versus Liverpool. And Newcastle, they jumped out and took the lead. Yes, they took the lead. And then Liverpool, they equalized. They drew level. But Newcastle, they went ahead again. And Liverpool, they came back to level the score in time added. This game was going back and forth, back and forth. Both teams were getting chances, but both teams are defending well. Both teams are defending well. They try to breach each other defense, but the defense was tight. Yes, the defense was tight. But at the end, Liverpool, they were awarded a penalty, and Szoboszlai scored that goal to equalize. Yes, Szoboszlai scored that goal and draw level with Newcastle. So Newcastle 2 and Liverpool 2. So we have a game coming up in Monday, that's tomorrow, between Fulham and Chelsea. Fulham and Chelsea. And I don't know, man. This game is a very tricky game because Fulham can be a handful. Fulham, they can be a handful at home at Craven Cottage. But who knows? Xabi Alonso is a new coach for Chelsea, and he might want to do that new coach bounce, that new coach influence, and win this game. But I don't know, man. This game is a tough game to go at Craven Cottage. But Chelsea might know how to grant a victory. But I'm not going to write off Fulham. Fulham is at home and they are very dangerous. But Chelsea, as you know, Chelsea is one of the favorite to win the EPL. Yes, Chelsea is one of the favorite to win the EPL. You have Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Those are the 5 teams. Those are the 5 teams that they tip to win the EPL. Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Chelsea. Those are the 5 teams that they tip to win the English Premier League. So, there you have it for the English Premier League. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe. Yes, like, share, and subscribe to the Hot Leads Canvas channel, where the Hot Leads display their God-given gift, ability, and talent. Until next time, we are out.